great tune. How, you know, we could write down those lyrics just right now. It's like we're reliving it. A great tune. And you can just imagine what all these kids from rural Iowa were thinking as they watched these guys on stage. You know, the lights, they're doing their dance steps. They'd never seen major artists before like this. What a night for them. I've had the honor of meeting just a few people that were actually there that night, and I know the excitement they felt. So the next artist that comes on, hello, darling, Chantilly lace, the Big Bopper. Now, Buddy Holly was about the same age as the Big Bopper, and he had that major hit. You know, he'd come on, he had the look, he just had that massive stage presence. He'd come on with the telephone, you know, that deal. But what we don't know about him is what else he could have done. I'm going to play you a song, and I want to see if you can sing along with this one. I'll stop in the middle, and I bet you every one of you knows the words to the song. This was his song, and he had more than one that you didn't know. On the banks of the river stood Running Bear, young Indian brave. See how far we can go. On the other side of the river stood a lovely Indian maid. A little white dove wasn't her name. Such a lovely sight to see. But their tribes fought with each other, so their love could never be. Oh, Running Bear, love little white dove with a love big as the sky. Running Bear, love little white dove with a love that couldn't die. And I bet if we went through that whole song, you could sing all of it. And how many songs nowadays would you know all the lyrics to? That's quite a feat. Okay. We're getting close to the end of this night now, and Richie Valens is coming up. Remember, Richie is the youngest of this group. They've got him going now. He's got quite a backup band. Buddy had kind of put this band together for this tour. His Crickets didn't want to do it, remember? So he went back and he picked up some people, most notably Waylon Jennings. He was working at a radio station, wasn't a musician yet, and Buddy got him to play bass. And if you watch real close today, you might see him on a slide. And he actually taught him how to play bass for that tour. He also had a drummer he picked up that froze his feet when the bus broke down. He had a bass player that actually gave up his ticket, his seat on that plane at the last moment to Richie Valens because of a coin toss. Interesting stories, and there's a lot more. Of course, I don't have time to tell. Just a fascinating era. So Richie Valens comes on, and he's got a lot of hits at 17 years old, but I have to do Oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna. I had a girl, Donna was her name. Since she left me, I'd never been the same. How I love my girl, Donna, oh, where can you be? Where can you be? Oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna. Wasn't that a nice tune? That's Richie Valens. He had a whole album for me. Thank you. Oh, Auntie, you're back.
I came back, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
that's great.
you told all the history about
Yep.
Buddy Holly and all those. I wanted to tell them a little history about Snooze Hollow.
It's funny you should come out because I just heard the bus and Buddy's
Did
up
you?
next on the show.
Oh.
So I'm going to go out and help him unload and set up his amplifier.
But you know, before you go, will you promise you'll have pie with me after the show?
Oh, sure.
I made a pie for you.
Why, thank you.
You know how I make the curly edges around here?
No.
I take my teeth out and I go like this. I wasn't going to tell them, but I thought probably I should. Well, you know, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Snooze Hollow. I picked out a few stories that you might be interested in, you know. I was fishing one time on the dock there at Snooze Hollow. I had caught 13 walleyes, and I had them in my live well. And I always have a little trouble with the game warden or the police or something, you know. Sure enough, I tell you what, here he came up in a boat. He said, "Hi, lady." "Yeah, hi there." I said, "What you doing?" "Well, I'm playing with my pet walleyes." "You're playing with your pet walleyes?" "Yeah, I have them here in the live well," I said. I let them all out like this and they swim away, and then I take my whistle here and I go and I blow the whistle and they all come back and come right into my live well. He said, "I got to see this." So he got out of his boat and came over and he stood there and he said, "All right, lady, let your walleyes out." So I opened the trap and they all swam out. He said, "Okay, lady, blow your whistle." I said, "What whistle?" "Well," he said, "the whistle you're going to call all your walleyes back in." I said, "What walleyes?" It worked. And Knut, my husband, you know, he was hunting that same fall. He and Ole were hunting, and they had shot a deer. And they were pulling that deer out of the slough by the tail. When the game warden came up, he said, "Hey, fellers, you're looking a little suspicious. I'd like to see your hunting licenses." So they got their license out. Well, everything was in order. And so he said to him, "You know, everything is in order, but you know, you're pulling that deer out of the slough by the tail. It would be a lot easier for you," the game warden said, "if you'd pull them out by the horns." "Oh, okay." Sven and Ole and Knut, they each took a hold of one of the horns, you know, and they started pulling and they worked and they huffed and about 10 minutes. Finally, Knut said, "I just dropped the horn." And I said, "Ole, this is working a lot better. But you know, we're getting farther away from the pickup." True story. Isn't it amazing my husband Knut can shoot a deer? He can shoot one from at least 200 yards, but he can't hit the toilet bowl. Do you girls have that trouble too? Well, you know what? Here's the deal. I am also an inventor. If you've seen me before, I've shown lots of my inventions, and I'll give you girls a little hint. All you need is a little fishing string and the fly on the end, and you hang that in the toilet. And there isn't a man alive who won't like to strike that fly. And it will keep your toilet nice and clean all the way around. Good idea, huh, girls? Little fishing, yeah, good there. It really works. Yeah, and also, you know, Knut went to the doctor not too long ago because he thought he had water on the knee. And the doctor said, "No, Knut, you don't have water on the knee. You're not aiming straight." And I'm going to tell you about my neighbor in Snooze Hollow. He had a limp, you know. Yeah, I never knew why he limped so funny. But I asked him one day, and he told me he had a wooden leg. Oh, I said, I'm so sorry, that's too... No, don't feel sorry for me, he said. But you could feel sorry for me because, for one reason, it cost me $2,000 every year to insure that leg. $2,000. I said, that's a lot of money. Yeah, he said, that's crazy. You know, I said, I have a friend, Torval, and he has an insurance company. You mind if I call and see what I can do for? No, that's fine. So I called him. Torval, I said, I have a feller here. He has a wooden leg. It costs him $2,000 every year to insure it. Can you do better? I'll get the rate book out, he said. So he went, he said, yep, he said, I can insure that leg for $32.50. Really? A year? Yeah, he said, a year. It says it right here in the rate book. It says, any wooden structure with an overhead sprinkler is only $32.50. The men in Snooze Hollow have 3 hairstyles. They're parted, unparted, and departed. I have made a lot of money on selling my combs for bald-headed men. Yeah, they really work good. A man's hair, you know, head is full of hair. Girls, do you realize that? That it's full of hair because when it quits growing up here, it pushes out his eyebrows and his ears and out of his nose. Doesn't it? He just keeps pushing out. My husband Knut, he has such big eyebrows, you know, he can use them for curb feelers. I gotta keep him combed all the time. And you know, about that time of Buddy Holly and in the 50s, you know, 60s, right in there is when we got indoor plumbing for the first time. You know, we always had an outhouse, and Knut it hadn't been very many days, and Knut says, Creamsagan, I'm using the outhouse. I'm not going in there anymore. Every time I go in there, it nips me in the hiney, he said. So the next time he had to go, I went and sneaked a little peek in the door. I opened the door, I said, no wonder it pinches you in the hiney. You're sitting on the mop bucket. Oh, that Knut of mine. You know, we had an outhouse and he kept wanting to use it all the time, and we hadn't gotten the indoor plumbing yet at that time, you know, and I had to go. So I went over to the outhouse, I knocked on the door. Knut, I need to get in there. He said, I'm not done yet. So I said, well, I'm going to wait out here for you for a while. So I did. Aren't you done pretty soon, Knut? He said, no, I'm not done yet. I went to the house, peeled potatoes, I came back and I went and I knocked on the door. Knut, I said, I need to get in there now, I'm desperate. I'm not done yet, he said. I went over to the door, and you know that little half moon on the door? I peeked in there, and there he was, sitting on the hole, and every once in a while he'd take his hand and he'd go, on his head. I said, Knut, I'm peeking in the little half moon at you. I can see you. Why are you sitting there pounding the top of your head like that? And he looked up at me and he said, well, it works on the ketchup bottle, he said. It works on the ketchup bottle. You'll think of that every time you hit the ketchup bottle. Huh? Ginny Buns Big. It'll work. Huh? It'll work for for you right there. Once upon a time in Snooze Hollow, I took the newborn baby in for its first checkup. And after the doctor had checked him over a little bit, he said, you know, he said, this baby is malnourished and underweight. Is it breastfed or bottle fed? I said, it's breastfed. He said, sit down. I want to check you over. Me? Yes. You, sit down, he said. Huh, to Matuda. I got a breast exam like you never have seen in your life. Whew. And when he was all through, he said, well, here's the problem, lady. He said, you don't have any milk. I said, I know it, I'm his grandma. You know, Knut and I wanted to have a family so bad and it wasn't working out, so I went to the OB-GYN doctor, you know, and I told him that we wanted to have a family. He said, well, I have to check you over. So when he was all through, he said, you know, lady, you have a deficiency in your passage. If you have a baby, it will be a miracle. Oh! I threw my arms up, I cried all the way home when Knut was on the porch. I said, Knut, the doctor told me I have a fish in my passage. If I have a baby, it'd be a mackerel. Knut said, that's crazy. I know you don't have a fish in your passage. He said, I'm going to talk to that doctor. He's going to get a piece of my mind. And he did. He went right down there, walked right in on the doctor. He said, what's this idea you telling my wife she has a fish in her passage? If she has a baby, it'd be a mackerel. He said, I didn't tell her that. I am so sick and tired of these women misunderstanding. The doctor, he really blew his cork right out. Oof, he was mad. He said, I am sick of this OB-GYN business and I am going to quit right now, he said. I always wanted to be a mechanic. Yeah. So he went to school, the tech school, took him right in, and he graduated at the head of his class. Yeah, he did. In fact, he got 150% on his final exam. 150%. He said, how can that be? He called up the professor. He said, you know, I can do the math. What is this? Well, he said, you tore the engine down perfectly. So I gave you 50% for that. You built the engine back up again perfectly. I gave you another 50%. But I couldn't help it. I had to give you another 50% because you did it all through the tailpipe. That was pretty good. You know, we have to take a little 15-minute intermission and have you, ladies and gentlemen, take a little breather and stretch your legs a little bit. And Louis, come on out here. Tell them about your CDs.
Yeah.
There you are. Yeah, he's got some CDs.
Yeah, I've got a CD of a bunch of Buddy Holly hits. Only a few. We had like 23. But all of them you'll hear him play today.
Yeah.
Plus more.
You can play them in your car radio. But I have DVDs. These are videos,
Fancy.
and it's an hour and a half stories that I have. I did a live show, and I had it professionally taped, and they're out there.
Wait a minute. You did a live show.
I did a live show.
As opposed to
a dead show.
No. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, we are giving them on a sale today for $10. Usually we charge $15, but this is a Buddy Holly special. His wife Donna, my husband Knut will be outside, and you can stop and ask him all kinds of questions about that. And we will see you in about 15 minutes. And be sure and stay tuned for more fun and stories and Buddy Holly. Thank you for coming.
We have some fresh popcorn and pop in the up here in the lobby. Women's bathrooms are on the right, men's are on the left, and we have an outhouse if you want to use that.